They say monsters don't exist, that they're just myths told in whispers. But in the world of mixed martial arts, there walks a man who defies that logic. A figure so cold, so calculating, that he doesn't just beat opponents, he erases them. His name is Alex Pereira. To most, he's a fighter. But to those who've stood across from him in the cage, he's something else entirely. A storm behind calm eyes. A killer cloaked in discipline. He doesn't shout. He doesn't flex. He simply waits. Waits for his moment to strike, and when he does, the lights go out. Tonight, you're going to learn why facing Alex Pereira is not just a fight. It's a slow walk into a dark abyss, and most never return the same. Years before the UFC crowd screamed his name, Alex was just a man with nothing but pain in his veins and purpose in his fists. Born into the forgotten neighborhoods of Brazil, Pereira didn't rise through privilege. He clawed his way out of hardship. And when he found fighting, he didn't just see a sport, he saw an escape. He entered kickboxing in 2012 like a shadow with hands of stone. 3 years in, he was already breaking through elite ranks, dismantling world-class opponents with a left hook so deadly it bordered on sorcery. His rise was ruthless, his hunger unmatched. Every punch told a story of pain, every knockout a declaration that the world would remember his name. It was in that world, kickboxing, where he first crossed paths with Israel Adesanya, the man many considered untouchable. Twice they fought under the bright lights of glory, and twice Pereira walked away the victor. But it was the second time that sent shockwaves across the globe, a crushing knockout that left Adesanya unconscious and the world speechless. At that moment, Alex Pereira wasn't just a threat, he was a curse, a ghost that haunted Israel's legacy, whispering that no matter how high he climbed, there was one man who could always bring him back down to earth. But even legends stumble. When Pereira transitioned to MMA in 2015, he was quickly humbled. A brutal loss in his debut reminded him that this was a different jungle. But if you think that setbacks slowed him down, you don't know Alex. He rebuilt. He adapted. And when he returned, it was with vengeance in his hands. One by one, he started folding opponents with a frightening blend of kickboxing precision and newly forged grappling skills. And when he finally stepped into the UFC, he wasn't looking for a slow build. He came hunting with the precision of a sniper and the soul of a predator. They laughed at first, dismissed him as a striker with no ground game, a relic from another combat world. But the moment he landed his first flying knee inside the octagon, the laughter stopped. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. He wasn't just a kickboxer anymore. He was a threat to the very order of the UFC. When he iced Andreas Michailidis and then dismantled Bruno Silva in a 3-round war, it became clear. Alex Pereira wasn't here to climb the ladder. He was here to kick it down. Still, they doubted. Critics clung to their doubts like a lifeline, saying he didn't have the tools to challenge the top tier. But Alex didn't argue. He doesn't waste breath proving people wrong. He simply fights. And when he was matched up against Sean Strickland, a brash, undefeated contender, the world expected a war. Instead, they witnessed a massacre. In just 1 round, Alex delivered a left hook from hell that sent Strickland to the Shadow Realm. There were no theatrics, no taunts, just silence. The silence that follows an execution. From that moment on, Pereira was undeniable. The UFC had no choice. With Adesanya having already cleared out the division, the rematch was set, this time under MMA rules. The stakes were monumental. Adesanya, the reigning king. Pereira, the ghost of his past. From the opening bell, the tension was electric. Adesanya landed. He moved. He danced. But Pereira stalked forward like a force of nature. And in the 5th round, with the clock ticking and the fight slipping away, Pereira unleashed fury. A barrage of strikes, surgical, violent, final. Adesanya crumbled. The reign was over. The curse had returned, and the middleweight division had a new ruler. But monsters don't sleep. They evolve. And Pereira had a new problem. The cut to middleweight was draining him. His frame was too massive. His body, too brutalized by the weight drop. So he made the leap. Light heavyweight. A new division, new prey. And with a thunderous victory over former champion Jan Blachowicz, he planted his flag once more. People said he couldn't do it, said he was too slow, too inexperienced. But once again, Pereira made the cage his altar and his fists the scripture. It was a cold baptism, and Jan was the first to be sacrificed. And then came the clash with Jiří Procházka, a samurai with a soul made of steel, a man many believed would humble Pereira. But that night, under the lights, the hunter once again became the judge. The first round was a storm of chaos, but in the second, Pereira rose. A high kick sliced through the air and collapsed Jiří's spirit. It was not just a win, it was a statement. Pereira had conquered a second division, and in doing so, etched his name into MMA eternity. A double champion, a two-division killer, a legend still in motion. Each time he steps into the octagon, there's a chilling sense of inevitability. Like you're not watching a fight, but a ritual. Alex Pereira doesn't celebrate victory. He absorbs it, consumes it. And the fighters who face him don't just lose, they vanish. Their confidence, their rhythm, their soul, ripped away by the cold hands of destiny. And now, as the whispers grow louder, as fans beg to see him test the waters of heavyweight or return to reclaim middleweight gold, one thing becomes painfully clear. The scariest part of Alex Pereira's story is that it's just getting started. There's something disturbing about how calm he is. While others pace back and forth before the fight, while they bounce and shadowbox to burn nerves, Pereira stands still, like a statue carved from war, eyes cold, lips sealed. That silence, it's not peace, it's pressure, waiting to explode. And when the cage locks, it does. He doesn't sprint, he doesn't rush. He inches forward with the precision of a sniper and the hunger of a lion. His opponents blink, and in that blink, he's already inside, already calculating, already choosing which shot will end it all. That calm is not emptiness, it's purpose. When Jamahal Hill stood across from him, he didn't see a man. He saw something unnatural, a fighter so composed it was unsettling. Hill tried to posture, tried to throw words and flex ego, but Pereira didn't flinch. He didn't need to talk. His legacy spoke for him. In the opening moments, the crowd grew restless, demanding blood. Hill obliged, but so did Pereira. In just minutes, he closed the distance, found the angle, and launched the left hook that's ended more dreams than time itself. Hill went limp. The air left the arena, and Pereira, he just walked away. Another mission complete. That victory wasn't just a title defense, it was a warning. Pereira wasn't slowing down, he wasn't declining, he was getting scarier, more composed, more violent. In just a handful of MMA fights, he had done what most can't do in a decade. Become a two-division world champion, defeating names that once seemed untouchable. Critics were now silent. Hype had become reality. Legends were beginning to fall at his feet. And yet, he still felt like a mystery. No outbursts, no drama, just the quiet, efficient destruction of anyone who dared enter his world. Some fighters are fast, others are strong. But Pereira, he's inevitable. You can't outrun inevitability. Just ask Israel Adesanya. In their second UFC meeting, the Nigerian danced, jabbed, and even rocked Pereira early. It looked like history would rewrite itself. But in the final round, something changed. In his corner, his coach looked him in the eyes and told him the truth. You're losing. You need a knockout. 5 minutes to be champion. That was all Pereira needed. He stood, marched forward like a man possessed, and unloaded a combination so thunderous it shattered Adesanya's defenses. 5 minutes later, he held the belt. For some, that would be the climax. For Pereira, it was just another chapter. He would lose the belt in a rematch months later, but he didn't retreat. He didn't sulk. He moved up, and in that decision, he ascended. Beating Blachowicz wasn't just a win, it was a reinvention. The middleweight monster was now a light heavyweight lion. When he faced Jiří Procházka, the fans expected war. They got decimation. In just 2 rounds, Pereira exposed every weakness. His high kick was surgical, his follow-up merciless. And when Procházka crumbled, the myth of invincibility returned to Pereira's shoulders. But fame has its cost. With glory comes doubt, jealousy, obsession. Jiří accused him of witchcraft. said his knockouts were unnatural. That Pereira wasn't just a man, but a vessel of sorcery, shamans, rituals, darkness. In any other story, this would sound like madness. But watch him fight. Watch how he moves, the accuracy, the timing, the savagery. You begin to wonder, maybe Jerry wasn't wrong. Maybe there is something otherworldly in him, a spirit, a force, something ancient that speaks through his fists. He's not just defeating fighters, he's breaking belief systems. Every now and then, the UFC gets a fighter who feels like a myth, someone whose story seems scripted by fate. Alex Pereira is one of those men. From the dusty corners of Brazil to the flashing lights of Madison Square Garden, he didn't just fight his way up. He carved a path with blood and silence. Fans don't just watch him fight, they hold their breath. Because when Poatan is in the cage, something violent is coming. You can feel it. It's not just competition, it's a ritual. And in every ritual, there's a sacrifice. And yet, despite the chaos he brings, there's a discipline in his violence. He doesn't swing wildly. He doesn't chase. Every move is measured, every strike deliberate. That's what makes him terrifying. There's no panic, no hesitation, just perfect practice fury. He studies your rhythm, your habits, your fear. And when he sees the crack, he doesn't hesitate. That's how you end careers. That's how you earn silence. Because after Alex Pereira hits you, there are no words left, just memories. And sometimes, not even that. There are fighters. Then there are predators. Pereira is the latter, and predators don't seek respect. They don't chase belts. They hunt. And now with the light heavyweight division trembling beneath him and whispers of a move to heavyweight circling like vultures, one thing is certain. This story is far from over. There's still prey to chase, still titles to collect, still legends to break. And Pereira, he's already walking toward the next battlefield. Quietly, slowly, unstoppably. So when people ask, what's it like to face Alex Pereira? There's only one answer. It's terrifying. It's a storm you never see coming. One moment you're fighting, the next you're staring at the lights, wondering what happened. He's not just a champion, he's a myth in real time. And he's still writing his legend, one body at a time. What makes Pereira truly terrifying isn't his size or even his power. It's his control. There's no panic in him, no wild flailing. He doesn't chase knockouts like a desperate man chasing glory. He waits, he invites, he baits. And when his opponent makes a single mistake, that's when he explodes, like a landmine. Silent until it's too late. That's the lesson so many fighters learn the hard way. One moment they think they're winning, the next they're waking up. Sean Strickland thought he saw everything Pereira had. He saw nothing until it was all too real, until it was all too late. Inside the cage, time bends around Pereira. Seconds stretch. Each step he takes feels heavy with meaning. There's an eerie stillness in his movements, like watching a volcano that hasn't erupted yet, but is seconds from obliteration. Fans feel it in their chests. Commentators fumble their words. And opponents? They either freeze or run. But it doesn't matter. Pereira doesn't chase his victims. He corners them. Every cage is his hunting ground. There's no escape. Not for Hill, not for Prochaska, not for anyone. He dismantles champions like it's routine, because for him, it is. And yet it's the silence that stays with you. After the knockout, after the chaos, there's no primal scream, no pounding of the chest, just that still face, as if he's already moved on, because maybe he has. Maybe for Pereira, it's not about victory or revenge or belts. Maybe it's about proving something to himself, something ancient, something unspoken. Every knockout feels like a ritual. Every win, a whisper from the past, a reminder of what he came from and what he refuses to return to. He's not running toward glory, he's running away from darkness. Still, the road isn't over. There are murmurs in the shadows. Talk of a return to middleweight, a shot at reclaiming the belt, a showdown with Dricus du Plessis, a possible clash with John Jones, one of the greatest to ever do it. The possibilities are endless, but none of it phases him, Pereira has never chased hype. He's never cared for bright lights or bold headlines. All he's ever chased is the next challenge, the next threat, the next name to silence. If he does go down to middleweight, it won't be for fame. It'll be for closure, for the hunt. Because for Alex, every fight is a hunt, and every opponent is prey. From the outside, it looks like a sport, but inside his head, it's survival, a test, one that he must pass over and over again. It's why his focus never wavers, why he stares down his enemies with that hollow gaze. He's not looking at the man in front of him, he's looking at the fear behind the eyes. The moment you hesitate, he finishes you. Not with emotion, not with rage, but with terrifying precision. There's no sympathy, no hesitation, just the fulfillment of destiny. And even those who survive don't leave unscathed. Look into the eyes of those who faced him. Something's missing, a piece of confidence ripped away. Pereira doesn't just damage bodies, he damages belief. He breaks that internal voice that says, "I can win." And once that's gone, it doesn't come back. Fighters recover from knockouts. They don't recover from what Alex does to them. They walk away knowing that in those moments, they were prey, hunted, trapped, powerless. And that truth haunts them. The UFC has had many great champions, warriors who bleed for legacy, men who roar and scream and claim kingdoms. But Pereira is different. He doesn't roar. He doesn't chase legacy. He just walks forward, step by step, one strike at a time, through divisions, through doubt, through fire, a shadow of war wrapped in silence. And that's what makes him more terrifying than any man with a loud mouth or a wild punch. Because you never see it coming. You never hear it coming until it's too late. His coach, Glover Teixeira, once said Pereira was born for this. Not made, not molded, born. There's something in the way he moves that supports that claim. Something primal, unlearned. A rhythm that isn't taught in gyms or sparring sessions. It's in his blood, in his nightmares, in his breath. He fights like a man possessed but always in control. That balance between rage and restraint is what makes him lethal. The storm held inside the stillness. You never know when it will strike, only that it will. And now, as the MMA world holds its breath for his next move, Pereira remains exactly the same. Calm, focused, silent. He doesn't care who they put in front of him, former champions, rising stars, trash talkers, legends. They all bleed the same. They all fall the same. He has no interest in your fame, your story, your pride. He'll respect you, but he will break you. And when it's over, he'll leave the cage just as he entered, silent, undisturbed, unchanged. Because the war inside him never ends. The cage is not a stage, it's a battlefield. And somewhere out there, another opponent is preparing, another warrior training for the shot of a lifetime. They study film, they analyze movement, they build a plan. But deep down, in the quiet of the night, they all feel it. That creeping chill, that flicker of fear. Because they know what's coming. They know what it means to face Alex Pereira. And that knowledge, that undeniable truth, is the scariest part of all.